C. I am the greatest combat actor of all time.
What's up, everybody? King Triple C here, the Olympic champ, the flyweight champ, and the bantamweight champion of the world. And welcome to this episode of Tell the Tape, where I'm going to be breaking down, that's right, Khamzat Chimaev and Robert Whittaker. This fight was just announced sometime in June, which is whether it's June 28th, whatever that may be. But either way, guys, these guys are fighting. Is Khamzat Chimaev the real deal? We've seen him struggle against a guy like Gilbert Burns. We've seen him struggle against a guy like Kamaru Usman. Now going up against a real middleweight and Robert Whittaker. Will he get the job done? And this episode is brought to you by the one and only Aptive. If you're a former wrestler, former fighter that is not done competing, are you a person that doesn't like to take no for an answer? Well, guess what, guys? Aptive is for you. Yes, you will be going door to door knocking, but guess what? You put your money where your mouth is. I know between 17, 18-year-old kids that are making $500,000 a year and more. So you guys make sure to go to summersales.org/CCC, because guess what, guys? It is time to level up. Here we have it, guys. Tell the tape. Robert Whittaker versus Khamzat Chimaev. I mean, look at this right away. Number 11. Crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like he's gotten for everyone. When he did fight at lightweight, it's lightweight, right? No, lightweight. Why am I forgetting? Yeah, welterweight. When he did fight at welterweight, he struggled, man. And I think he's a guy that's really a middleweight that has the ability to really drop down to 170 pounds and actually make it. But that being said, he's going up against the Reaper, Robert Whittaker. You know, 25-7 versus 13-0. I mean, this dude has nearly double the experience. Yeah, double the experience. Yeah, he may have more losses. He may be undefeated. But I will say this, what I do love about this matchup is the fact that it's only 3 rounds. 9 KOs, 11 decisions, 5 submissions. To a guy like Khamzat Chimaev, 6 KOs, 2 decisions, 5 submissions. 6'2" to 6 feet, 73.5 to, supposedly this guy's small. I mean, look. You know, the one thing I will say, though, when I'm looking at this, is the experience. And boom. Everything tends to be a little more tiered. Everything on paper, through the tell the tape, it seems to go more on Khamzat, the age, you know, the height, the reach. But it is yet to be known. But let's break down the one and only Robert Whittaker. What are his strengths? A lot of it is his combinations, his setups, his jab, his low kicks. I mean, Robert Whittaker, his ability, he's a blitz fighter. Like, he's a guy that likes to motion, and then all of a sudden, boom, 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 he's throwing his punches. All of a sudden, he's here, he's motioning. All of a sudden, he's doing the John Jones leg stop. Bah! Like, he's doing that. But he does a really good job of setting up his jab to his low kicks, and I think that's one of his arsenals that people tend to overlook, because he will invest in that. And as the fight gets, a little longer, then he'll start to kind of whip out different tools. His durability. I mean, with that type of experience, I mean, he's fought guys like Israel Adesanya. I mean, he's fought guys like Calvin Gastelum. He's fought Jared Cannonier. This guy might be the greatest gatekeeper of all time. You know, he couldn't get through Israel Adesanya, but when you look at somebody that's just like, man, if so-and-so wasn't there, it would always be Whittaker. And that's kind of how I feel about it. His tactics. He was able to make that transition from being knocked out with Israel Adesanya to the second time around. How is it that he was able to kind of change the game plan and obviously take it to, I don't know if it was split decision, but to take it to a very close fight that he did have with Israel. And obviously, as a former wrestler, I want to say he did wrestle in Australia. You know, he does have anti-wrestling. Rarely does he ever wrestle, which he does. He does have the ability to take people down, like he took down Dricus du Plessis. I was able to take a lot of these guys down, but I think more importantly is his actual takedown defense. Anti-wrestling has the ability to pretty much, he doesn't play the bottom game. He's able to bring it back up to his feet. But let's go over a little bit of his weaknesses. Man, I've always felt like Robert Whittaker had the ability at middleweight. Because remember, middleweight all the way up to heavyweight, that's 20 pounds. You know, that's a completely different monster. And when you have the ability to do that, I think when you're big enough at like Alex Pereira, you can translate that power, but not everybody can do that. You know, Alex Pereira, he's a big dude. But anyhow, what are his weaknesses? He keeps his guard low. Super here. You know, like Dricus Du Plessis was able to clip him. Dricus Du Plessis was able to go southpaw and then boom, boom, and then catch him with straight punches. You know, his hands are a little too low. But then also his stance. And I would actually put his stance at number 1. You know, because your hands can be low, but your stance is almost like he leaves that leg like he's too wide there. Dricus kicked it. A lot of people tend to kick it, but he does a really good job with this movement. But I think either way, at times, he's able to kind of get caught or he's able not to evade. He'll bring his body back this way, but he'll always leave his legs open. And that's somewhere he's going to have to be careful. Do I think Khamzat's going to more likely kick him? No. But I think a guy like Israel Adesanya, the way he ate up his legs in both of those fights, it's a problem, and he still hasn't fixed that. His top control. He's got great takedowns, but could he control somebody up top? Does he do the wrist grabbing? Does he do folk style wrestling? Does he snake the legs? Is he able to kind of snake his way through, throw, you know, a little bit of that Dagestani handcuff, folk style wrestling, where he's able to literally control you? Because his takedown entries are absolutely fire. His pressure, and it's not just the physical pressure, because Dricus Du Plessis did press him and was able to have success kind of having it going backwards, but it's bigger than that. It's the pressure of this could be his last run at 185 pounds to actually get the title. The UFC will keep you around until you really you no longer become that gatekeeper. And this is what this guy wants. I mean, Israel Adesanya and Dricus Du Plessis, they are going to fight. But if Dricus Du Plessis ends up winning and he ends up being Khamzat Chimaev, then that's that fight to make. It's the next fight. There's a reason why both these guys are fighting, and they're fighting on the same damn card, because winners got next, whether it's Dricus or Israel Adesanya. Well, guys, without further ado, let's talk about the Wolf. Ow! And I'm not talking about you, Rampage. I'm talking about Khamzat Chimaev, elite grappling. Anybody that's ever kind of comes from the school of wrestling in Dagestan, it's part of their religion. I went out there. I spent a lot of time out there, months actually out there. I didn't appreciate it. I mean, I've always appreciated the wrestling, but I just did not like it. Ate, slept, trained, everything was just, man, I missed home. Anyhow, his elite grappling and having the ability to come from that school of Olympic champs like Buvaisa Satiev, Adam Satiev, those Chechens. I mean, this is the type of inspiration that these guys run through. You know, Mavla Batirov, Adam Batirov. I mean, the list goes on. But one thing that I will say that separates him from a lot of different Russians is his damn top control. When you study guys like Khabib, when you've gone against, when you have that ability to really understand how to handcuff people, lacing up the legs, wrist control, just knowing where to place that weight, this is where Khamzat Chimaev, ladies and gentlemen, is super, super dangerous. And his chin. I mean, I don't necessarily like to compliment people when they have a durable chin, but there are people, guys, that could take a damn punch, that could take a punch, that could give a punch. But there's some people like Rachmanov that would just, as much as you punch him, he's coming forward. As much as you could hurt him, I think the more you hit his chin, the more energy he produces. But Khamzat is one of them. And obviously the confidence that's within him. You know, with the 11 finishes out of his 13 fights, and the only 2 guys that he didn't finish were Kamaru Usman, a former champ, and another gatekeeper, and Gilbert Burns. You know, Gilbert Burns is, other than Magdalena, Gilbert Burns is a hard dude to finish, and it was one hell of a fight, to say the least. His weaknesses. And again, guys, could Khamzat strike? Has he had one-hitter quitters? Yeah, but I haven't seen enough of that with a guy like Khamzat Chimaev. But in comparison to Khamzat against Robert Whittaker, I just don't think this is going to be his strength in that fight. So not saying that this dude's got hands, but you're going to want to play blow by blow against somebody who's awkward, who has that certain karate stance, who likes to blitz. Are you going to go toe-to-toe with the guy who really understands distances and is unorthodox in the way of movement, blitz steps, and things of that nature? His cardio. I mean, his pace and his cardio. I mean, we saw him open his mouth when he's tired. Like, we see it, dude. Like, once you start seeing it in the body, like, hey man, if you've never been 5 rounds with somebody, and if this is a #1 contender spot, I don't know when is it that a guy like Dana White's gonna end up starting these 5-round fights to the #1 contender. I don't know if it starts in Saudi Arabia or if it's going 3 rounds, but if it goes 5 rounds against a guy who has gone there with Yoel Romero, a guy who has gone there with Israel Adesanya, it does change the game a little bit. And like I said before, he hasn't gone 5 rounds. That 5 rounds really kills a dude like that. You know, because I will say this, out of the 5 senses, you know, attack, counterattack, anticipate, feel, and take risk, Khamzat Chimaev, he's a risk taker. A risk taker in the sense where the way he caught Kevin Holland and what was it, a Darce, the front headlock choke he ended up catching him with. Guys, if he wasn't to get that, he'd be in trouble a little bit. That's a lot of juice and that's a lot of power that he's giving, you know. But does he have that ability? We saw him slowing down too with a guy like Kamaru Usman. We saw him kind of fade away, but he ended up coming back against a guy like Gilbert Burns. And the reality is, it's his first real test against a real middleweight. And he's picking a fight against a really good dude. I think if there's any middleweight that I would say, hey man, avoid, in my eyes, it would be a guy like Robert Whittaker. But he decided he wanted to go that route. So guess what, guys? I'm in on it. Yep, punch stats. Strikes landed per minute, 4.57 to, but we also have to keep in mind to 5.72. But we also have to keep in mind that this dude starts quick every single time. And he's probably going out there, he'll throw his punches, but boom, his level change is one of the best in MMA. Strikes absorbed per minute, in other words, their defense. Surprisingly, I would think Robert Whittaker, because of all this dude's takedowns that he's doing. I'm thinking over here Khamzat Chimaev, but his distance recognition. His distance recognition is what changes everything. Takedown accuracy. You gotta give it to the wolf. This guy eats, sleeps, and trains wrestling. That's partially why I do like, Khamzat Chimaev. Takedown defense. Woo! I used to have 100%. And I started getting older and slower. And then you get taken down. Prior to my comeback, I don't think nobody really has ever taken me down with a double leg or single leg. That's what happens, man. You take the time off. That could, but Khamzat Chimaev is young. He is young. And then obviously 0 submission average for a guy like Robert Whittaker. And they get this. But one thing we'll keep in mind, guys, is Robert Whittaker has fought the tougher competition. Like on paper, again, guys, on paper, Khamzat. Ahoo! But realistically, experience is the biggest factor. So if I had to choose somebody, if I had to literally, if I could bet, if Dana White will allow me to actually bet my money, I like Khamzat, and even though he's blocked me from Instagram and all this other stuff, dude, I just tell people how it is, dude. Like, fuck, I get ridiculed too. I take it. I've never blocked anybody, unless you said something about my mama. But either way, I just think the experience, the strength, the size too, and especially if this fight goes 5 rounds, as much as I would love to see Khamzat win, I just figure, guys, that Robert Whittaker, he's just fought the tougher competition, and I hope he shows up, you know, because when Robert Whittaker shows up, that Australian here, we'll put some ears here too. If he shows up like the way he fought Cannonier, and I just feel like the size that he has over a guy like Khamzat, and again, guys, I'm gonna wrestle till I die. But guess what, man? Robert Whittaker also does come from that pedigree. And if he's smart, he's gonna do a lot of wrestling defense. He's gonna work against the cage quite a bit. He's gonna work on getting up from bottom, which is something that he does very, very well. So for that reason, guys, I have to go with the Reaper, either by decision, and if it does go 5 rounds, I could see him stopping Khamzat. I truly can, but this is my opinion, guys. So for that reason, I am going with Aussie, Robert Whittaker. And this video is brought to you by the one and only Aptive. Guys, if you're a person that doesn't like to take no for an answer, if you're a person that's not done competing, are you an entrepreneur? Guess what, guys? Aptive is for you. These guys will literally teach you how to sell. They will literally house you and teach you how to sell. Yes, you will be going door to door knocking, but you'll see, guys, I know between 17, 18-year-old kids that are foregoing college to live that American dream, making $500,000 to $1 million a year. That's right. So you guys make sure to go to summersales.org/CCC because it is time to level up. Till next time, you guys just watched an episode of Tell the Tape. Till next time. I'm out.